Queued up while we're waiting. Okay, so kicking it off. If you have any other wins, throw them in the chat. We love seeing it. Welcome to the Felix Durgan Ellefson Master Agency call. This is the first call of February. Happy February, y'all. January always seems like it is such a long month. It feels like it, right? It's usually like a 5 week turn in too. So it's a big month, but we made it through. We've got some great momentum as a team and as individuals too. So yes, happy. Is today Groundhog's Day, Abel? I had no idea. Oh, cool. Good to know. Happy Groundhog's Day too. On to the next slide. So we've got our week of January 24th. For Team Felix, we've got 7 families protected for 8,909. For Durgan Ellefson, we've got 12 families protected for 16,128. So we've got Incredible Wood, 1 family for 218 APV. We've got Rafa with 1 family for 1610. Brandon, 3 families for 2013. Bridget, 3 families for 5,286. Myself with 7 families, 7,950. And Tom edged me out by $9. 5 families for 7,959. Way to go, Tom. That's awesome. Congratulations, everybody who went out and protected families that week. We have so far, I guess, closing out. We might have one a little bit more on the month of January, but closing it out, we had 6 unique writers for Team Felix, 42 families protected, 64,540. Durgan Ellefson, 10 unique writers, 3 brand new faces this month. So excited to have you guys here. 68 families protected for 82,313. When I started this business 5.5 years ago, I could have never gone out and protected 68 people in 1 month. That would have been really, really difficult and exhausting to do. So being able to share the load, right, expand it out and get more boots on the ground to help families set themselves up to be just more financially secure, but also just in a better place, right? In a place where they know that they're going to be okay if something happens. That's a ton of work and that takes a team. So congratulations everybody that went out and helped families. If you're brand new, this is what's in store for you. It's really exciting stuff. Next slide, please. Bridget, if you want to take this one.
You bet, you bet. This is the slide where if you're wanting to build a team, not have it all be on you, have that passive income. And also, let's not forget, you can impact somebody's life by sharing the opportunity. I know, my brother Dave shared it with me. At first, I was like, no, no, thank you. No, thank you. And then I realized, what he was doing, the flexibility he had, the income he was making. So it starts here, though. Talking about what we do, talking about it, even with people when you're out and about, a server, hey, just ask him, hey, is this your full-time gig? Is this kind of your dream job? Most people, right, will kind of chuckle and be like, no. And so it's all about when you're out and about, however, reaching out to people that are in your phone. Hey, this is what we're doing. We're hiring. Do you know anybody looking? So that is a zero cost, sending it out. You can't lose what you don't have. So share it. And so for last week, James had 2, I had 3, and Margaret had 10. And you'll start to see these numbers, kind of percolate along the way because you never ever know who can do this business. My goodness, I'm surprised all the time. And that's a good thing, right? Because how many of us know people from all different backgrounds, all different times in our life? College, your first job out of college, kind of what you thought was going to be your dream career, right? Reach out. It's a numbers game, just like on the sales side. But if you are consistent with recruiting, it will start to build a team and build momentum. So this is where it starts, this slide here.
Absolutely. Tommy boy, over to you.
Awesome. We got new writers. Paige, these are all on your team. This is cool. Look at this. James, Olivia, and Dana, all new writers, all in your base shop. That is awesome, Paige. Um, I look to add to this next week, next month. So that's awesome. This is just showing people have gotten through the licensing. They've committed to writing at least their first app. And then now the next step is to get into becoming a regular writer, a regular helper of families, like we talked about at the beginning.
if you're in the workroom right now. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. There are a lot of breakout rooms going on here, so pop in and see what's happening. The Jensen Durgan agency room is open during those times, and either myself, Margaret, Crystal, or all three of us are in there typically at any given moment. So come in, ask for help. Same with the Felix Ellefson room. So just come in and utilize that, right? If you don't see anybody in there, pop around. You're going to find people dialing. You're going to find people running appointments. You're going to find people running interviews. You just got to look around for it, right? It's like you enter an office and you're just going to peek in the office rooms until you see, like, okay, who's doing something I want to learn from? I'm going to pop in and listen. Even better, if you pop in and dial, even better, because dialing in front of other people helps to hold that extra layer of accountability, but it also helps you just learn and grow faster. You're going to get little tips, little tricks, things that you might not even realize that could help book more appointments or get more people to show. It's always something little teeny little tweak. So utilize that. That's why it's here. We don't have to go to an office, but we get to hang out. I do want to make
Exactly.
Yep. I do want to make an announcement here. Elizabeth, did you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I can kind of, just real quick, guys, this is our new call schedule. You'll see this posted on, all of the teams, but so everything, in terms of what we do today, the Wednesday call, the resets call, all of that, what we're rolling back the Walk of Fames at the 9:30 Eastern. They're Tuesday, Thursday, and I think it's is that it Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We won't have the 9:30 Eastern. We're going to update it with some other, calls. We found that the same people were showing up to those Walk of Fames that maybe, they weren't getting enough out of it. So whenever we see that happen, that's the good part here is we pivot. We try something. Hey, is this effective for all? Paige talked about the workroom, guys, and this is one thing I want to shout out Ibble too, because she has posted very recently, multiple times, hey, I'm in the workroom dialing. Do you guys understand that hearing something live and how simple it is versus how we thought it was going to be is gold? Because, and for most of us, that's what can happen in the beginning when we're learning something new is we overcomplicate the heck out of this thing. So for now, use the workrooms. Like Paige said, if you pop in one, nobody's in there unless it says invite only, pop in there. Be a fly on the wall, take notes, and then let's say you hear something out of workroom and you're like, gosh, I wonder, why they said that or where that's when you text your upline and say, hey, I was in the workroom. I heard this. What does that mean? That's how we get through these little hurdles that are really mostly in our head and just due to a learning curve. So this is our new schedule with all of the appropriate links. And any changes, we'll kind of give you a heads up and then we'll post it. But you'll see this posted on Teams as well.
Yeah. So really not a lot's changed. The Walk of Fame is going away, but the training and the availability is all still around here. We still have a call around the same time every
Yep.
day. So just pop in and keep doing what you're doing and spend the rest of the time in income producing activities. So thank you. Thank you for the announcement and for sharing. And yes, anytime Ibble is dialing, get in there and listen. She booked like 85 appointments in an hour last week. So get in there and hear it. I want to take it back to the basics, and actually, I'm going to share my first several weeks in the business. I'm going to share my numbers. We talk about tracking a lot, and there's a reason for it. I always say it keeps you sane. At least it kept me sane because you can get all emotionally involved in what you feel like is happening, but when you look at the numbers, numbers don't lie. So I want to go through just kind of what it's looked like in the first 6 weeks. I break it up actually into six week increments, and I have a couple of them. We'll see how far we get today. But I want to just dive into what my numbers have looked like, especially in the beginning. Everyone always asks me, what did you start dialing in the beginning? So I'm going to go through that, and these are my exact numbers. I'm going to show you what the averages are, and I'm going to show you a little hack to help you like with the dialing that's gonna really like make things click. This helped for me anyway, just a fun little hack that works wonders. So I'm gonna share this spreadsheet. Whoever has like issues with numbers, shield your eyes. There's a lot going on, but I'm gonna walk you through it. So this is my very first 6 weeks. So look at this area right up here. So I just want to show you guys that anyone who comes in and listens to people like Ibble, people like myself, people like Tom, people like Bridget, people like Brandon, people like Rafa, people who have been here for a minute, when you come in and listen to us do all these things, right? Dial run appointments, it's easy to think, wow, how are you like that? How are you so good? How did you handle that? How did you know to do that, right? How did you know to do that? And the really the only way to explain it is that we had to go through it first. We didn't start off good. I really wish I had recorded, or at least still have my recordings of my first dials, because it was rough, you guys. It's rough for everybody starting out. Does not matter how much experience you have at dialing or how much experience you have in sales or how much experience you have just talking to people. It's always hard in the beginning. So just know that, right? The only difference between you and someone more seasoned is time. That's it. That's it. Time and the activity it took to get there. So if you throw yourself into the activity now, you're going to see those results even sooner. You can't unlearn what you're learning by going through these motions. So learn it fast. And that's going to help you get through the stressful part of just, what do I do? I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Okay. So again, very first week here, let's just see what the reality is of Paige Durgan's experience here. So my very first week, I got 50 leads. I got an MIC and an MID mix. Okay. So I spent $275 that week. I made 820 dials my very first week. I talked to 20 people. I booked 5 appointments and I had one show up. Guess how much business I wrote? Big old goose egg. Okay. Next week, I got 20, right? I got a little bit different, right? I switched up my mix. So I got 20 MICs, 15 MIDs. I got a little bit of the cheaper leads, right? I spent a little more money, but I got a little bit more of a variety, got some more leads to work because I realized I need more appointments than five. Five's not going to do it, right? I'm not going to get to where I want to be if I'm only sitting with one family a week. So I did that. That week I dialed 834 dials. 32 people I talked to. I booked 12 appointments that first week or that second week. That was cool. I sat with only two of them. And guess what? Big old goose egg. Didn't write a single app. Do you think Paige was frustrated at this moment? Little bit, right? Little bit. I had just dialed over 1,600 dials. I talked to over 52 people. I booked 17 appointments and I talked to three of them and I didn't write any business. And look, I've invested over $600, almost $600. That's a little bit scary, right? I was nervous, but I knew that I was now in it, right? Like I have to see this thing through. I'm in the negative. I don't want to come out of this thing in the negative. And I'd already gone through all the work of getting my license, right? I'm not going to stop now. That was my mindset. So let's go to the next week. I got another even mix of things, right? 20, 20, 20. These are not expensive leads, you guys. These are like dollar, $2, $3. I think the most expensive one is like $6, $8 at that level. So nothing crazy, but I made sure I spent my $280 that I'd committed to. I dialed 630 leads or 30 dials that week. So I scaled it down a little and I talked to 72 people, booked 14 appointments. And that's why these numbers are lower because I booked 14 appointments, right? I got my appointment goal. Could I have kept going? Probably, but I booked my appointment goal. So that's where I went to. I sat with four of them, but guess what? I wrote my first app. 3 weeks in, I wrote my first app, week 3, $1,400. That one ended up getting declined. So I had to write another one, but that one got approved. So I ended up getting it approved for 1104. So look at this. This is important over here. Look at your statistics. So my first week booking rate was 25%. That means out of everyone I talked to, I booked 25% of them. It's good to know that, right? So 5 out of 25 is 25%, or 20, excuse me. Show factor, 20%. 1 out of 5 showed up. 0% close rate, 0% issue rate. Next week, 38% booking rate. Okay, that's good. I'm getting better. Show rate, 17%. Oops, went down a little bit. Got to work on something here. Close rate, still 0. Okay, can't do much about that. Let's start over again the next week. 19% booking rate, not as good, right? I went down a little bit. Show factor, though, went up to 29%. So that's cool, right? This is a good number to have. Get a little bit more, right? A little more people showed up. Closed 25% of those babies, right? 1 out of 4. Heck yes. Got a 77% issue rate because my issue rate was a little bit lower because I had to pivot. I had to learn the art of the pivot real quick. So, first 3 weeks in, we're at 1104. Okay. Let's look at the next week. Week 4. I'm on top of it, right? I'm like, okay, I can do this. That was hard, but I could do this. So I did it again, right? I invested in more leads. I got more leads this week because I thought, okay, I now see that this can work. I'm going to buy some more leads. 674 dials that week. 67 people I talked to. I booked 15 appointments. Sat with 3 of them. I didn't write any apps that week. Okay, bummer. That kind of sucks. So let's see what I did wrong, right? What am I missing? I need more of these people to show up right here. Show factor 20%. I need this to be more like 50%. How can I do that? How can I get there? So I go back to the drawing board, figure out what am I doing? I listen to some other people dial. I dial myself in front of other people, get some feedback, figure out what is it that I'm missing. I'm missing a little bit of a tie down maybe. I'm listening for weak language. I'm not getting people fully committed to that time frame. So back again, right? Next week, I'm like, I'm going all in on these MICs. I'm tired of messing around with these guys. I want 50 of these leads. Spent $300 on those leads, 670 dials, talked to 67 people again, booked 20 appointments. Boom. That felt good, right? 20 on the books. Something's got to shake out of this, right? I got 20 on here. Something's going to happen. I sat with 4 of them and I wrote 3 of them. That was cool. Guess what? I just had my $5,000 week. Very first one. 6 weeks in, 5 weeks in. $5,000 week. I issued 3,000 of that. Now look at my rates, right? I got a 30% booking rate. Okay. That's not too bad for that lead level, right? I could probably improve, but not too bad. Show factor, 20%. I know I could probably get this up. That would be nice if I sat with more of those appointments I worked so hard to book. Close rate, 75%. That is awesome, right? That felt good. That was spot on. 62% issue rate. Okay, working on it, right? Not too bad. Couple of those issued, couple didn't. That's just life. That's how it happens. Week 6, I went down a little bit. MID to MIEs, right? I got 60 of those leads. One thing, you guys, I always made sure I had at least 50 people to call. Always, always, always. No matter what, I had at least 50 leads. And I always made sure I purchased new leads every week. That is the one thing that is always consistent aside from this number. Always this, always this. These are the 2 things that you can control. You can't control this number. You can't control this number always, but you can do this until you get this number that you want. You can't always control this number. You can improve, you can tweak your skills, but until you have this number higher, you can't improve this number. And until you have this number higher, you can't improve this number. So just know, it always starts with these 2 things. These are the controllables. So week 6, $290 investment. I went down a teeny bit. Dialed 338 dials. I was on top of it, right? I was like, I booked 20 appointments last week. Look at me, right? I don't have to dial as much. I got into my own head. Look what happened. I talked to 60 people. I booked 7 appointments. Not a banner week for Paige, right? I didn't book nearly as many as I wanted to, or at least as I should have, right? Maybe I did only book 7. I don't know. I can't remember. But 15 to 20 appointments is where it was at for me back then. I needed that because my show rate was awful. So here we go, right? Only 1 showed up, but hey, I got lucky. I wrote on that one. Sometimes that happens, right? This wasn't a skill thing. This was a luck thing. I just kept testing the numbers until they paid me back. So I wrote 1,400. I issued that one. That was cool. That was an instant decision. So now I just completed my first 6 weeks. I am beaten, battered, bruised, exhausted, and just like, what the heck happened? But guess what? I learned a ton during this week. I learned a ton. I learned how to consistently invest in leads. I learned a lot about dialing, right? I dialed over 4,000 dials in 6 weeks. I talked to over 318 people. Do you think you're going to get better or worse by talking to 318 people? You're always going to get better. I booked 73 appointments. I talked to 15 people in 6 weeks, right? Is this a banner week? Is this like an all-star number? No, but I was brand new. I was brand new. I'm an elite producer now. Is this elite producer numbers? No, not even close. But you know what? You got to learn somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Okay? So just remember, we all have the same starting spot. But you guys want to know a life hack in this business that really helped me? So look at this. These totals, first of all, Always my favorite. So here's the thing. I invested $1,700 in leads. I issued 5,809. Okay, so this is issued, right? Let's do some math. What is 5,809 by 80%? I was at the 80% contract level. 5,800. I was actually at the 60% contract level back then. That's when we started. But we'll do this easy for everybody. Times 80%. 4,647 was my commissions from those 6 weeks. Okay. Now let's do some other math. Okay. I'm going to get a 75% carrier advance right away as soon as these issue and they pay their first premium. So that means I got $3,485 in advance commissions from this number right here. Oops. From this number. But I wanted to back out my lead spend, right? I want to subtract out the 1780. So 3,400 basically, 3,485 subtract out 1780. That's 1,705. Profitable or not, my first 6 weeks? Profitable. Am I $1,700 richer than I would have been if I did nothing those 6 weeks? True. Correct. So while not ideal, in my last job, this is about what my paycheck was. Right? Okay. All right. Now I know. Now I know. I can do this. I learned, I made a lot of mistakes. I figured out a lot of things really, really quickly. But guess what? 6 week average, I made money. If I average it based off of this, I would have been frustrated. But it's only 1 week. How could I possibly see what this thing does after 1 week? What about this one? Oh, shoot, 2 weeks. Oh my God. What is this thing? Does this work? Are these leads terrible? Did Bridget lie to me? Is this opportunity really not going to work for me? Let's try it again. Oh, snap. I made money. Okay. Maybe this does work. Oh, shoot. Never mind. I don't think it does. Oh, God. What's going to happen? Oh, no. Oh, my God. Wait a second. $1,600 in 1 week? I've never done that before. My last job, I made less than that in 2 weeks. Okay. So maybe this does work. Again, $600 in a week? Whoa. You see what I mean, you guys? This is the mindset and the mind games that we play with ourselves because we think that 1 week is going to show the results, and that's just not how it is. We have to set that 6 week minimum, and we have to keep this activity alive. All sorts of excuses as to why this wasn't working. I wasn't making any money. This was COVID, you guys. I had no job. My boyfriend at the time, we moved across the country. We were in so much debt because it's expensive to move across the country. He was barely working because we moved out there for his job and then COVID hit. No one knew that was going to happen. This was not easy. I threw this on a credit card. But guess what? I made it happen. And I was able to pay off that credit card. And I was able to continue to invest in leads, right? You feel a little bit like you're just like doggy paddling, barely surviving. But you're still surviving, right? This is still surviving. I haven't even told you my life hack yet. So look at this. This is my favorite part about tracking these numbers. And if you're not doing this, you're doing yourself a major disservice and you're not treating this business like a business because you have to know where you are. So here we are, weekly average. I invested in an average of 58 leads a week, right? All these added together. I had an average of $297 a week in leads. So I averaged about $300 a week in leads and I got at least 58 leads. I averaged 670 dials. Anybody remember what the suggestion is in Basecamp? 300 to 500 dials? I'll be honest, you guys, I hate that because that's not going to give you what you want. You got to go harder. You got it this first week, and you'll see here, we don't have time to go through all these numbers, unfortunately, which we'll pick this up in a future call. But if I had only stuck to 300 dials per week, do you think I would have gotten where I needed to go? No, I wouldn't have. You have to dial until, right? Don't worry about hitting the dial metric. Worry about hitting the appointment metric. Because what that training also says is 300 to 500 dials per week or 12 to 15 appointments, whichever comes sooner. Okay? You got to have the 12 to 15 appointments. I shouldn't say that, whatever comes sooner. You got to have the 12 to 15 appointments or else you're just not going to see the success here. So look, 12 appointments. Okay. All right, I'm doing it. 3 people I sat with, okay, that could improve, but hey, I sat with an average of 3 people a week, and I wrote an average of 1 application per week. Did I write one every single week? No, but one week I wrote 3, and another week I wrote 1, and another week I wrote 1. So averaged out, I write about 1 application per week with this activity. And this is just the learning week, right? These are learning. So I wrote an average of $1,300 a week, and I issued about 968 of it. So that means, look at this, you guys. I made an average of $284 per week net profit. Commissions, and this is just factoring in the advance. This is not factoring in the back pay that I was going to get in months 10, 11, and 12. So this is just right now money, what I got, $284 per week, including backing out the lead spend. Here's my favorite thing. Guess how much money I made every single time I dialed the phone? Doesn't matter what they said. Doesn't matter if they answered, voicemail, doesn't matter. Every single time I hit that call button, I made $1. Guess what motivated me? Okay, I'm gonna go make more dials, right? If I make $1 every single time I hit the call button, doesn't matter. How did I calculate this? 284, and I think I actually use this number. So $968 an issue paid money, right? Divided by how many dials? $1 per dial? Okay. That's not too bad. I like that, right? $1 per dial. So then I did that again the next week. Went after it. I'm just going to go through the averages real quick. So guess what? Average of 55 leads that I got every single week. An average of $298. Consistency. 503 dials a week. That was my average. This is 12 weeks in. I'm still 500 dials a week. 58 people I talked to, an average of 15 appointments, but look, my show rate increased. So now out of 15, I was talking to 6 of them. I now have a 37% show factor versus a 21%. Is that improvement? Yes, it is. So I was 6, wrote 2. Now my close rate's up to 35%. It was 33% before. 35%, that's improvement. Guess what? Now I wrote an average of 1960 a week. Is that better? That's better. I issued 1105. Is that better? That's better. Okay. I'm getting better. Maybe it doesn't feel like it. Maybe after this week and this week, it didn't feel like it. I didn't issue any of these things. And I feel like, oh my God, I suck at this. But look, I'm better. And I know that because the averages are telling me. Now look what I make per week. $365 per week. Guess how much money I make every time I hit the call button? $2. You guys, this number right here is my favorite thing to track. Because when you're like, oh, I don't want to dial today. I don't want to do this. I can't. I won't. This is hard. Think about, you know what? It doesn't matter. Every single time I hit dial, I'm making $1. So how many dollars can I make today? If I make 500 dials today, am I going to make 500 bucks? Yeah. Track this. This is my favorite thing. Bridget taught me this. How many dollars do you make per dial? We're a little over on time, so I'm going to close it down. But track your numbers. Track your numbers. This is the only way to be successful here because you got to know where you are and you have to know if you're moving in the right direction, even when it might not feel like it. Because these do not have any emotion attached to them. These are facts. And we only go off of facts here. All right, you guys, have a great Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Paige.
Thanks, Paige.
Have a good